Welcome back to Movies TV Mad, and you of course can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Sunday's edition of the DCEU Daily. And today I'll be asking the question, as well as many other talking points about different things in the DC Extended Universe: will Matt Reeves the Batman play the multiverse game? But talking of the Batman, if I could get my phone. The Batman director excited for fans to hear Michael Giasino's score. Wow, yes, he's finally finished the score. I have so much time and respect for Michael Giasino as a composer. I still say he hasn't topped Lost Season 1. He was great on Alias, he was great on Fringe, but I think the Lost Season 1 score is one of the best, at least television scores, I've ever heard. Matt Reeves, director of the upcoming DCEU film The Batman, tweets about how excited he is for fans to hear Michael Giacchino's score by Kyle Osterman of Screen Rant. Matt Reeves, director of the upcoming The Batman, has gone to Twitter to tell fans how excited he is for them to hear Michael Giacchino's score. After facing delays due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the movie is finally releasing soon. It will be the latest entry into the DC Extended Universe, which as of late has focused more on standalone projects and building an interconnected universe, but that will change, everyone, no matter what Screen Rant say. The movie just recently had a panel at the 2021 DC Fandom event. Viewers were treated to some behind-the-scenes looks at the film's cast and crew, as well as a new trailer that showed more of what is to come for the Caped Crusader. The Batman will follow Bruce Wayne's Robert Pattinson's second year as the superhero, while he is still coming to his own as Batman. He will have to deal with the serial killer, the Riddler, Paul Dano. Bruce then finds out that he's somehow connected to the Riddler's crimes, presumably through his family. Along the way, he has to deal with the Penguin, Colin Farrell, who seems to have an agenda of his own in Gotham City, who will also cross paths with Selina Kyle, Zoe Kravitz, who has not become Catwoman yet. The movie will also star Andy Serkis, John Turturro, and Jeffrey Wright. Reeves has described this movie as mainly a detective movie, which will definitely please fans that have wanted to see more of a detective side of Batman. Now Reeves has tweeted about composer Giacchino's score. Giacchino revealed in a tweet that he was finished scoring the Batman, explaining how much fun he and Reeves had on the project. Reeves then responded by saying he can't wait for fans to hear what Giacchino crafted for the Batman. The exchange between the composer and director can be read below. So this is great. Today was our final day of scoring for the Batman with my pal at Matt Reeves LA at the helm. We had a lot of fun in the process and the orchestra killed it. Thanks to all who helped pull it off. Can't wait for this to hit the big screen. Matt Reeves, working and laughing with you, Giacchino, is always one of my favourite parts of any film I work on. Love you, my friend. Can't wait for people to hear your incredible score. Having Giacchino do the score for the Batman is definitely an exciting aspect of the DCEU movie. He has already scored superhero movies before, such as Spider-Man Homecoming, which I wasn't that impressed, but you've got to be inspired by the movie to do a great score, right? Doctor Strange, and most notably The Incredibles. His work has led him to be nominated for and win an Oscar, an Emmy and 3 Grammys. Giacchino's work will definitely bring a sense of darkness to the movie, and the trailers that fans have gotten already prove that fans have wanted to see a new serious take on Batman, and this movie seems to satisfy that. While only a fraction of Giacchino's score has been heard, it is definitely enough to show what type of Batman movie this will be. The Batman isn't coming out until March 2022, so future marketing material could certainly reveal more of Giacchino's music. Movies will often release a few tracks of the score before release, which is certainly a possibility for this film as well. Hopefully the Batman score lives up to the hype when fans can hear it in theatres. Well, Michael Giacchino is a very interesting composer because during his era with J.J. Abrams, he was pretty much a one-trick pony. All his music sounded very similar. It was still great and I loved it. I always kind of assumed this was because Alias, Lost and Fringe were part of some kind of television universe. I always believed that there was some kind of multiverse television universe going on with Fringe, Alias, and Lost, and I think that's why his music was so similar. When he started doing motion pictures, his music was very, very, like I'd never heard him do it before. Now, his theme for the Batman is amazing. Nothing like he was doing on the J.J. Abrams kind of multiversal television shows. It sounds amazing, so I'm very, very, very excited to hear the soundtrack for the Batman, because Giasino is a musical maestro. While reading that article, I was thinking about the Riddler. Yes, I can multitask. Apparently men can't do that. Well, you're wrong, ladies and SJWs. We can anyway. So I keep on thinking about Dexter, because they're doing a revival. In the first season of Dexter, it turns out that Dexter's real brother was the ice truck killer, a serial killer who was playing a cat and mouse game with Dexter, or was Dexter playing the cat and mouse game with him? It's then revealed that he's actually his real brother. And there's a beautiful moment actually, because obviously his adopted sister, I forgot her name now, but basically he's got a close relationship with his adopted sister, Deb, of course, played by the multi-talented Jennifer Carpenter. I love Jen, lots of time for Jen. But anyway, this is DCEU related, by the way. So he's got a choice. Let his real brother kill his adopted sister, or does he kill his real brother? Ultimately, he kills his real brother because he loves Deb. He would never let anything happen to her. So when we look at this, could Paul Dano's Edward Nashton actually be Bruce Wayne's illegitimate brother? This could be a thing where he's got the same kind of choice, because I think Reeves is going to take out of other cat and mouse serial killer stories. I think Seven's one of the ones we've all discussed and many other people have discussed. So there could be a reveal there that actually Paul Dano's Riddler is actually his illegitimate half-brother or something. Now, they did a similar thing with Todd Phillips' Joker movie, and we don't know if Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is canon in Matt Reeves' Batman Earth 2. We'll have to wait and see for that, but it's not out of the question. Anything's possible. So as I discuss Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker maybe being involved in the Batman, we have to ask the question, will Matt Reeves' The Batman play the multiversal game? I think it's a very interesting kind of question to pose on this Sunday, where there's not any DCEU updates for you today. So it's a nice little conversation to have as you relax with your cup of tea on a Sunday morning or afternoon, or whenever it is, or wherever it is where you're watching this video. Will he play the multiversal game? Now, there's been an assumption, and assumptions are, I think with entertainment media and movie fans, there's always a lot of assumptions made prior to watching a movie, and certainly assumptions have been made about Matt Reeves and the Batman, that this is all self-contained. We know it's on its own Earth. It's not part of the DCEU Earth 1, but it's still part of the DC Extended Universe. Let's be clear about that. The DCEU, the DC Extended Universe of films, isn't just about one Earth. There's multiple Earths, like in all DC kind of stories. So, this is still part of the DCEU. But we are kind of very close to the kickoff of a multiverse strategy. And it seems impossible to me to leave the Batman out of that strategy. I believe that Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne Batman will be in the Flash movie, will appear. Not much. Do you remember the Day of the Doctor, when we heard Peter Capaldi's voice? That's 13, sir! Remember that? So, I believe that Matt Reeves will indeed play the multiversal game. He's a huge DC fan. I don't think he's one of these directors who's going to say, no, I don't want anything to do with you, and I don't think he could if he wanted to. Here's the clues, because he's already doing the Batman spin-offs on HBO Max, and with J.J. Abrams, he's doing a Batman animated series as well. So very exciting, but it means he wants to play the spin-off game, and that means to me, he wants to play the multiversal game. So I think it's very much part of the DC Extended Universe, but on a different Earth. So we look at this and then we say, who is part of his own Earth? We saw those kind of leaks, didn't we, of people dressing up as, you know, Wonder Woman in fancy dress and Superman, and some people making some outlandish claims that in this world they're just comic book characters and people are dressing up as them. If this was to happen, I would be so fucking pissed off. It's not something that I want. I want there to be a Superman and a Wonder Woman and other DC characters in Matt Reeves' Batman Earth 2. And I think that would be great, I really do. And so I'd love that. And I think they will be name dropped in this movie. I can't imagine we'll see Superman or the real Wonder Woman or the real Superman or other superheroes in this movie, but who knows? We are talking about nearly a 3-hour film, and even if they were to cut it down, I don't think it's going to be cut down that much, because one of the things about test screenings is the length of the movie. So they'll be getting feedback from the people who saw the test screening. And one of them, a friend of mine, who's given me some information about the movie, but no spoilers or big kind of things, because I told her I don't want to know that stuff. And so one of the feedbacks they would have got is, do you like how long the movie is? And everyone, I can't think of anyone who went to that test screening, I haven't heard about it, I haven't read about it, who said, too long, I want it shorter. So I think that movie may stick the landing with the length in the test screening. And I like really long movies. I like the fact that Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut is 4 hours long. How did that guy do it though? Just changing the subject. How did he make the Tin Pot movie that Warner Brothers wanted while shooting all his shit? He was shooting his bullets, as he told us. And he had 4 hours of fucking footage. He did it behind their backs. He's amazing. He really is. What an achievement. I can't believe in my possession I have a 4-hour Justice League movie. I don't know how they're going to top it when they do the next Justice League movie, although Infinite Crisis could be a great way of doing it. We'll have to wait and see if those rumours are true. And so, I do think that Matt Reeves is a team player, and I think Ann Sarnoff wouldn't have it any other way. She's spoken about department heads talking to each other, one head talking to the other head. This is how you create not just a great studio making great things, but a great interconnected cinematic universe. Because Screen Rant are correct. Since Justice League, let's just say Warner Brothers have become recently, with the DCEU, connective universe shy. But that was never going to stick once Walter came in. Certainly when Ann Sarnoff came in, she wanted everything to connect. She's become a very big player in the running of the DCEU. And what you've seen since Justice League, really, and I'm not including Aquaman and Shazam because they're kind of interconnected to the outer universe, but not overly, although Shazam really loves those Easter eggs. David F. Sandberg did a great job with the interconnectivity and even gave us Superman at the end of the movie. It wasn't Cavill. He tried to get Cavill. So it's not David's fault, and he really wanted Superman there, so he kept that in. And I think that's the right move. It was great for Freddie Freeman to meet Superman at the end of the movie. So a lot of people have criticised that without Cavill. It wasn't David's fault. He did his very best. So I do think that Matt Reeves will have other DC characters in his Earth 2, and he will play the multiversal game. Why is this important? Well, they're talking about a connective tissue within the multiverse. This is a multiversal franchise, you know, as from The Flash, but maybe earlier next year with one of their other movies. We'll have to wait and see. And I think Matt's part of that, and he's proven that with all the spin-offs he's doing. He's really working in the extended universe, not just in the Batman. Because let's not forget, his Batman animated series is working with Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams. That's not part of the Batman universe, unless it is, who knows, anyway. And so I don't think it is, but so that's quite a few projects for a writer-director who wants to do other projects, and of course, will be working on a sequel to the Batman, and who knows how many of his Batman movies he's going to make. I say this is not just a trilogy, it's beyond that. So he will be involved. I'll make a prediction as well. He could be involved in shaping other DCEU movies as well. Not necessarily directing them, maybe co-producing them, co-writing them. So Matt Reeves is going to be a huge player in the future of the DC Extended Universe. And I'll repeat, when I talk about the DC Extended Universe, you know, this is a universe with multiple Earths. We just haven't seen them yet. But we've seen evidence of this in Crisis of Infinite Earths with the two Flashes crossing over with Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin, which was a lot of fun as well. And so, yeah, So I think he will play that game, and I think it's exciting because I want this Batman to mix with other multiversal characters. And of course he will. Yes, he will. That would be another Batman. That would be a third Batman in that movie, in the Flash movie. Robert Pattinson's The Batman, Bruce Wayne crosses over. And I think he will. I think he may be the new Batman of the whole kind of franchise. And I've said that before. And I think when Barry goes back, it's interesting though, because in leaked footage, didn't we see Keaton's car outside the courthouse when Barry Allen's father, Henry, is freed? You know, he's exonerated for killing his wife, Barry's mum. So it does look like that Keaton may be part of events, but then I've kind of theorised that he dies because of the bloody bat cow. But one of the things is true, one of the things is not true. They may have actually shot multiple alternate takes. Maybe because they haven't probably started editing the movie yet, or they're in the early stages of editing the movie. So it's interesting. But Earth 1 maybe have a couple of Batmen, because you can't really have someone in their 70s be the main Batman. That would be ridiculous. But you could have a scenario where maybe Pattinson's Batman can cross over, or they can cross over to him, but he's not the main Batman in the new Earth 1 after Flashpoint. So you could have scenarios like this. So Matt Reeves right now will be working with the other directors and with Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada and Jim Lee. And I think, yes, the Batman isn't just a self-contained thing. This is not what we're doing. I do think the DCEU will go back to working with a lot more auteur directors, because I think we've seen it. With the hype and the box office, congratulations to Denis Villeneuve and Warner Brothers, by the way, for the success of the Dune movie. Absolutely deserved. What a film. And Denis is proving that the auteur all of a sudden is becoming fashionable. I don't think the auteur's ever been fashionable, but I think people are going to start streaming to auteur movies. Now, it comes a little bit too late for Zack Snyder's DCEU, or does it? Or does it? Because maybe this will prove to them that the Snyderverse can continue. So this is all good if you want to restore the Snyderverse, which I do and a lot of you do as well. So yes, we're in really exciting times, and yeah, so some of you may think, no, I want the Batman to be in its own world. Well, it will be in its own world, but there'll also be crossovers, right? You know, Robert Pattinson's The Batman will mix with the other characters. And I do believe, as I've already said, he'll be in the Flash movie. I think this is exciting. As long as it doesn't spoil what they're creating. And from the look of the trailers, they're not going to spoil it like that. There'll be no crossovers in the Batman. I mean, it will be crazy and sensational and amazing if that happened, but it won't be. So that's its own standalone movie. But in terms of playing the multiversal game, those kind of things can happen in movies like The Flash, you know, and kind of an Infinite Crisis movie as well. So there's a lot of fun things to be had. But when it comes to the movies, you may get the odd cameo, but they'll still tell their stories, right? But there will have to be connectivity there, because we are looking at a multiversal shared universe. Now, this excites me. Now, the MCU are doing exactly the same thing with Spider-Man No Way Home. And, you know, we should be getting a second trailer for that. I'm a bit worried about that movie. I'm worried that it's not the movie everyone wants it to be. And I'm so excited for Tobey to return, because his trilogy was amazing. It's my favourite live-action Spider-Man, changing the subject from the DCEU for a few seconds there. But I don't think that it's a case of one franchise doing the multiverse badly and one franchise doing it good. I think everyone can do it well. I think we're all excited for, well, not all of us, of course, but most of us, some of us, are excited for the direction they're going in. And now it's about us waiting and seeing. Waiting and seeing what the Batman is and what it does and what kind of movie it is. But it's also fun to have these little theories and predictions as well, isn't it? But you see, the other films are definitely going to have a lot more interconnectivity than the Batman, of course, because the Batman's in its own Earth. I think we can look forward to Henry Cavill's Superman, definitely in Fury of the Gods Shazam, Fury of the Gods Shazam sequel, and Black Adam. Now, the big question is, will Henry Cavill's Superman be in the Flash movie? I guess we're going to have to wait and see, but I say yes. He has to, because if he's not, I think there will be outrage. And the first person to have this outrage will be me. There's a lot of people who complain how women and minorities are represented in our modern day movies, but I want to complain how men are represented. Yesterday, I watched a brilliant documentary by, movie enthusiast Oliver Harper on IMDb TV on my Amazon Prime Video. And it's a documentary called, I think it's called The Search for the Last Action Heroes. And it's really all about celebrating the 80s movies. You should really check it out. And that got me to thinking what we've lost, because those characters, those action heroes, John McClane, James Bond, Chuck Norris, all those, Steven Seagal, all the movies us lads used to love, used to go down the VHS store and, stand there for ages looking. It was a great time, wasn't it? They were just, they weren't think pieces, they weren't deep, but the action was sensational, all shot in the camera as well. And these characters now are deemed part of toxic masculinity. What's this got to do with the DCEU? I want to talk about how men were represented in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, because I wasn't impressed, right? Bloodsport and Peacemaker were the display of toxic masculinity. That's not from my point of view, that's what James Gunn did. He wanted to show us two bad, toxic men, because this is what these people want to do. They want to demonize men. That's what modern day entertainment is doing. Demonizing men, putting propaganda out there, because Hollywood has become an extreme left propaganda piece. Now, in the old days, they were like this kind of American propaganda piece. Do you know what? Even though I didn't like all this God bless America bullshit, I think I prefer that bullshit to this bullshit, because propaganda against a section of humanity is so wrong. The hate that the alt-left have for us, straight white males, is absolutely despicable. So let's look at the propaganda that James Gunn, who's got Bloodsport, a bad father, right? Yeah, remember that? And then we've got Peacemaker, a toxic, aggressive male. Really, in a lot of ways, Peacemaker is like those action heroes of the 80s. And of course, Mr. Gunn probably doesn't really like those action heroes. Let me be clear about James Gunn. I love him. You notice I retweet him a lot. I'm not being a backstabber or anything. I do like James Gunn, and I do like his movies. It's not about that. He isn't the one person who's doing this, but like Zack Snyder, I don't think anyone I look up to walks on water, and I will criticise them as well. So basically, they're labelling Peacemaker and Bloodsport as these toxic males, right? So in the sneak peek we got of the Peacemaker series, we had a bunch of people, including a couple of women, mocking Peacemaker, mocking the man baby, mocking the toxic male, the member of toxic masculinity, because he had a little pet in the back of his car called Eagly. Right, so what are they going to do in this? So how are they going to involve this character? So instead of being this alpha male, because they see alpha males like me, because I am an alpha and I'm proud of being an alpha. Anyway, and so what they're going to do to him, they're going to turn an alpha male into a beta male, because basically that's what they're going to do. Girls, if you're watching this video, I want to ask you a question, by the way. Who are the greatest lovers? For straight women out there. Beta males, or a straight male like me who's really going to go for it with you, right? Think about that. I'm sorry to be a bit controversial, but I'm feeling very controversial right now. But let me ask you another question. How many people die in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? How many men die and how many women die? By the way, have we noticed that Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, a psychotic, thuggish killer, is celebrated as this amazing woman? It's all right for a woman to be an alpha, but not for a man. Do you see where we're going here? Then, why did we get Ratcatcher 2, a female, instead of the main Ratcatcher? So he could put a woman in it. She's great. I love her. She's sweet, adorable. But that's the whole point, isn't it? The men are not nice and the women are nice, right? Even Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, right? She's a nice character now, is she, right? After all the people she's killed. And there's people out there who just don't get Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. She was literally a well-paid psychiatrist, right? In a fucking asylum. She was doing well, right? How did she get there? How is she there? If she's that fucking damaged, how is she there? And they always blame the Joker, a toxic male, for manipulating her, right? But she's part of that fucked up relationship. She likes how she feels around the Joker. She likes the fact that she can let herself go. But nobody ever holds Harley Quinn to account because she's a female. Ultimately, in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, you know, including how they displayed men, and let's talk about Polka Dot Man, this kind of weird, wimpy, kind of depressed guy who basically ends up being a hero and sacrificing himself. But these are the kind of displays of males we're getting in film. Don't get me wrong, I love Polka Dot Man. I thought David did a great job. I like characters like that. I'm not saying we shouldn't have them, but we should also not be ashamed. We shouldn't be deleting alpha males from our films. We started the DC Extended Universe with Superman and Batman, and those characters are right alphas. Thank you, Zack Snyder, who is also an alpha, but also respects women, represents minorities and women beautifully in his films. You see extreme left Hollywood, you see you can do it all if you want to. And so, ultimately, in the Suicide Squad, I can kill anyone. I'm James Gunn, but I won't kill Harley Quinn, I won't kill Ratcatcher 2, I won't kill any female apart from one. I think he kills 1 or 2 females. All the men die, including Captain Boomerang, one of my favourite characters, and Rick Flag. In fact, he basically, in other words, he's killing the patriarchy. Do you get it, everyone? Who's seen the new Bond film, No Time to Die? I went to the cinema yesterday to re-watch it. I've watched it a few times. They don't deserve my money, but they've been getting it. In the ending, right, you get Bond whining, oh, I love you. It's amazing that you made a baby as beautiful as this. She didn't, mate. You made it with her. And then we hear James Bond, before he dies and sacrifices himself for no fucking reason, right? I love you. James Bond whining before he dies, telling a woman he loves her. I've never seen such utter nonsense in my life. And this is what they're doing. This is how they're representing us males in film today. First of all, they're putting propaganda against us, against the alpha male, the traditional alpha male, Bond, you know, John McClane, you know, Mel Gibson's, Martin Riggs, all these great characters that we grew up with. Jack Bauer, I mean, he was in the early noughties, wasn't he? He's probably the last alpha. Maybe we're getting more Jack Bauer in the future, that's what I'm hearing. But they are deleting the alpha male and they're replacing us with other males. I want to see those other males, those beta males, those non-alpha males. But I also want alpha males celebrated on films. But here's the good news. I've got lots of DVDs, Blu-rays and stuff and films of alpha males, and I will continue to watch them and enjoy them. And Hollywood, there's nothing you can do about it. Finally today, I want to talk about a fellow DCEU YouTuber. His name is Chris Wong Svensson and he runs the Ping Pong Flicks channel. Chris was one of the many YouTubers, along with Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand and other brilliant YouTubers who inspired me, not personally, we're not friends or anything, but by me discovering their channels and me thinking, wow lads, you do a great job. If you can do that, so can I. And I'm not talking about being a successful YouTuber, because I'm not. But just sitting here doing this is a major achievement for me. Having 10, 20 or 30 of you a day, you know, coming in and 5 or 6 of you liking the videos and saying, where's the DCEU Daily today, Mick? Where's the Doctor Who Daily? Knowing that you actually miss this shit, you know, it is great. So anyway, I want to talk about Chris because I'm sure you've all heard of the YouTuber Film Gob. So he's a very passionate Zack Snyder DCEU fan, and that's great. Now let me take this from the beginning, because Chris Wong Svensson himself has been a great advocate for releasing the Snyder Cut. He's one of the main reasons, one of those people who really pushed for it. And without his channel giving us updates about the battle to release the Snyder Cut, because I was watching those videos every day and doing my own videos, because he was doing videos, he inspired me. So he's one of the reasons that we got the Snyder Cut. I'm not saying he is the reason, I'm saying he's one of the reasons. A great guy. So I think when Chris first started his channel, he started as a very genuine fanboy, and I think that came across very well. He kind of did some commentaries for BVS and MOS, which I watched while watching the movies. They were great. Thank you, Chris. Well, anyway, a few months ago, I don't know when this happened, he said because of all the toxicity going on with DC and WB, that he wasn't going to talk about DC anymore. Guess what happened a little while later? He started talking about DC and the DCEU. Last week, he did trailer reactions for the Batman, Black Adam, and all of them. Anyway, 3 or 4 days ago, the YouTuber Film Gob, because he does this, he puts videos together and tries to expose people for their inconsistencies and, you know, their hypocrisy. So he puts a video together of Chris saying, I love Zack Snyder, I'm not going to cover the DC on my channel anymore. I'm not going to cover the DCEU on my channel anymore. Then we see him kind of, you know, saying how much he's looking forward to all these movies, as I do. So what Film Gob's trying to do here is show Chris's hypocrisy. I think this was a very toxic video, and I think at one point he's got him as a clown. He's covered, you know, it's not good. Now, the irony of this, a couple of years ago, Film Gob was actually on Chris's channel, and Chris was sharing Film Gob's channel. A very nice thing to do, because Chris was pushing all these kind of YouTubers fighting for release the Snyder Cut, which was great. So what do I think? Let's be absolutely honest about this, right? I think when Chris announced that he wasn't going to cover DC anymore, I think he probably was being a little bit naughty. I think he did it to get a bit of attention, a few more viewers, say, look man, I'm taking a stand. But then I think a little while later, Chris realised something. Whoops, all my subscribers, or most of my subscribers, are only watching my videos because I cover the DC Extended Universe. Because let's be honest, Chris started off as a genuine fanboy just doing videos, but then he noticed something. He became successful. And yes, he has changed. His attitude's changed. He's different now. He's not the same kind of adorable fanboy YouTuber who was just doing it for a bit of fun. He's found success, so he's turned it into a business. Good luck to him. That's up to him. Who wouldn't want to make money out of something that's popular, right? So at the end of the day, right, so anyway, I think Chris thought, shit, I can't stop covering the DCEU. You know, that's my bread and butter. He did something, he made a mistake, then he went back on it. And that's okay. Let me tell you something. If you go through everyone's YouTube history, including mine, you will find inconsistencies of me saying one thing, then changing my mind and saying another. It happens all the time. People do it. Do you know why? And it's not just for us YouTubers, it's for you people who sit in judgment from us YouTubers. But, you know, sitting over judgment, looking down on us YouTubers. You're inconsistent. The difference is nobody's watching and nobody cares when you're inconsistent, right? But when we're inconsistent, when we change our minds about something, it's noticed. It's not a crime to change your mind, to change your take. But that's because as we go through life, right, we evolve and we learn different things about different situations. So what I said one day about something, I may change my mind the next day. And that's okay. So even though Chris Wong-Fenton has been an advocate for restoring the Snyderverse and releasing the Snyder Cut, that doesn't mean he can't love the other DC movies and, you know, talk about them on his platform. Yes, it is an inconsistency for him to say, I'm not covering DC anymore because of moral reasons, what they did to Zack and all of that stuff. Then do, but look, it's his platform. It's up to him what he does. Nobody gets to govern what people say on their YouTube. And to do such a toxic video, and think about this, Film Gob, if you affect the guy's mental health and something terrible happens, how are you going to feel about that? Chris is a good family guy who's become very successful on YouTube, and he's doing the best for himself and his platform, and that's okay, and he doesn't deserve for anyone to come after him. Get ready for 2022, everyone, because it's going to be the greatest, most sensational year in the DCEU's history. I want you to tell me in the comments down below, do you think the DCEU is a successful franchise or a failure of a franchise? I'm wondering if there was no such thing as the internet, if the hate and the kind of disparity for the DCEU being a so-called bad franchise wouldn't be so high. When I look at these films, they're okay. Now, I think the quality of the films themselves is probably better than the MCU. I think the discussion to be had really is what they're like, what they're like kind of in an amalgamation in a franchise, and that's something we can discuss on another video. So please let me know in the comments down below, do you see the DCEU as a successful franchise or not? This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And always remember, I am a supporter of Restore the Snyderverse. I'm a supporter of Snyder's DCEU, so we talk about consistency. But I'm also a fan of DC all around, in general. And I'm not boycotting anything for anyone. I'll see you again for more DCEU Daily tomorrow.